Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I did a Frankenstein inspired look. Fun fact about Frankenstein, Mary Shelley actually wrote the book when she was 19 years old. Isn't that fascinating? And also I have to include my earrings too. So let's get started. Hello! I went ahead and already primed my lids, and I look shocked because I have tape to give me a sharp look, and of course I have to show you my earrings again. Today I'm using the Blend Bunny Cosmetics Ellis Atlantis palette. Look at that beautiful packaging. And this is what the inside looks like. So we have a lot of beautiful colors, but today we're going to focus on mostly green and the black. I'm starting off with the color Mutation, and that's a nice dark green color. And I'm only going to be applying that to half of my crease, and I'm going to be focusing on just that part right there. And you want to make sure that you are blending as much as possible because we will be cutting that crease, and that is going to give us that nice shadow effect. I applied this color a few times until I was satisfied with the pigmentation, and next I will be adding that same shadow to the part with the tape is to give me that wing. You want to get that shadow as close as you can to the tape so that way it gives you the nice crisp edge whenever we remove it later on. And I'm drawing it towards the center near my eyelash line. And now that I was satisfied with the way the color looked, I went ahead and did the other eye off camera to speed up the process. Next, I'm using the color Infestation, and I'm applying that on top of the Mutation color and just blending those colors together. I also dragged that color towards the inner corner because later on in this video, we will be adding some shimmer to make it pop. And I'm also going to be doing the exact same thing on the wing part, just fluffing out that color, blending them together, making them look nice and clean. And in these next few seconds, I am going to be applying more of that green on both parts until I'm satisfied and I get the blending that I like. It doesn't have to be too perfect because we will be cutting that crease, but the more you blend, the better it's going to look. Since I used a lot of the Infestation color, I noticed that the Mutation color was getting lost. So I went ahead and applied some more and just darkened up that crease. And don't forget the wing. Next, I'm using the e.l.f. concealer to cut the crease, and I'm using the color Fair Rose, which I believe is the lightest color in their collection. And I am going to be giving myself a full cut crease, but I'm not going to be connecting it to the other end of my eyelashes. I'm only going to do it halfway, so you'll see what I'm doing here. Also, another tip, if you do use a flat brush to cut that crease, I do recommend one that is really flat. The one that I'm using is a little bit fluffier, so it does have a little bit of thickness to it, which is okay. But whenever you have a thin brush, it gives you the most cleanest and precise lines. And here's another fact. The first Frankenstein film was made in 1910, and it was made into a silent film, which is basically a film that does not use synchronized sound or dialogue. It's crazy how time has changed. Now we even have movie theaters that splash water on you, your chairs move, everything's in 4K. Crazy. And now that I'm satisfied with the way the crease looks, I am going to use my finger to just buff out that green with the concealer to make it look nice and blended. And now you want to dab, dab, dab until it looks rad. Was that cheesy? Never mind. I went ahead and did the other eye off camera, and now with the flat brush, I am using the color Specimen, which is a very beautiful lime green, and I am packing that on where we just cut that crease. That pigmentation is giving. Look at that. It's serving. It's so good. I need that color but in a lipstick form. I don't know if you guys remember, but back in the day, there used to be an Anastasia Beverly Hills lip palette, and I think it had like 24 shades, and it had like a little spatula where you can just mix colors and make your own lipstick. I used to love it so much, but I don't know if they still make them anymore or not. And now I'm going back into the color Mutation, and I'm going to be intensifying that wing again. Like I mentioned before, it did get lost with the Specimen color, so we're just going to be adding some more. Next, I am going to be using the Blend Bunny Cosmetics Cream Gel Eyeliner in the color Black. And I'm going to try and apply that as close as I can to the tape and dragging it towards the center of my eye. I didn't want a full black wing, so I just wanted it to be halfway, and I just kept dragging that color upwards. And now with a more dense brush, I am going to be buffing out that gel liner into the shadow. Here's another fun fact. Many people believe that Percy Shelley, which was Mary Shelley's husband, wrote the book, and they didn't think that a woman wrote it. 500 copies of this novel were published in 1818, and nobody knew who the author was. Next, I'm using the color The Void, and with the fluffy brush, I am going to be blending out and buffing out the gel liner with the green and just make it look nice and smooth. Comment down below and let me know what your favorite Halloween movie is. My favorite spooky movie is Coraline, and my favorite horror movie is The Terrifier. Next, I'm using a flat brush, and I'm picking up the color Supernova, and it's a beautiful shimmery color with a hint of green in there, as you can see. And I'm going to be packing that on closer to the wing and working my way inward. And now I'm going to be applying the exact same shimmer in the inner corner, so that way whenever I look up, my eyes will pop. And now for the most tedious part of this tutorial, I'm going to be using the e.l.f. eyeliner to make myself those stitches. I used an eyeliner that had a really thin brush, so that way I can be very precise and I can get those stitches to look nice and clean. Here's another fun fact. In the summer of 1816, Mary Shelley, her husband Percy Shelley, Lord Byron, and others were staying in Switzerland. They challenged each other to write the best ghost story, and Shelley's tale, inspired by a nightmare, grew into Frankenstein. Also, did you know that Frankenstein was the name of the scientist, not the monster? In the novel, Victor Frankenstein is a scientist. The monster remains unnamed and is referred to as the monster, creature, demon, and/or it. But if you made the mistake of calling him the monster Frankenstein, then you're not alone. It has happened to many of us. And now that I am satisfied with the way the stitches look, I went ahead and did the other eye off camera and put on some Ioni half mink lashes, and now I'm peeling off that tape. And as you can see, that looks crispy. And I do know that the glue looks a little crazy. It is going to dry clear. And now I'm taking off the tape on the other eye. And as you can see, it also looks nice and sharp. It looks so perfect. And now I'm using the L'Oreal Paris Infallible 24-Hour Full Wear Concealer in the color 350 Biscuit. And I like to use a brush because I can follow along to where I made that eyeliner and just make it look nice and sharp and clean it up even more. You could also use a beauty blender, but in my preference, I prefer the brush. Here's another fun fact while I blend out the concealer. In 1910, Thomas Edison's studio made one real 15-minute film of Frankenstein, one of the first ever horror films ever made. It was though lost until it was rediscovered in the 1980s. Today, it has made its way to YouTube. And now I'm going to be setting that concealer with the Kimchi Puff Puff Pass Set and Bake Powder in the color Banana. Before I forget, I do want to mention that all these products that I'm using today are not sponsored. I was trying to go for a very bright under eye, so I did take my time with the concealer, and I did want to use a lot of setting powder. I always apply a moisturizer before I put on my makeup, so I use that as a primer sometimes. And I'm using the CoverGirl 550 Light Medium Foundation. It is super light like it says in the packaging, and I like it so much because it almost looks like natural skin whenever I'm done blending it out. And I do like to use a brush when applying the foundation all over my face. I also do like to use a beauty blender, but I've noticed that there are certain foundations where I do like to use a beauty blender because it does pick up a lot of the excess product. In this case, since this product is very light, I just want to brush it on. Comment down below if you would like to see a look inspired by a specific character, movie, or anything Halloween related, and I'll be happy to try to recreate it the best I can and talk about it. It will also be a challenge because we'll see if I have earrings that match that look. Next, I'm going to be using the Maybelline Superstay 24-Hour Hybrid Powder Foundation in the color 128. And I really like using this product because it basically works as a foundation and a powder. Since the previous foundation that I used was very thin, this kind of helps even set it and add a little bit more coverage. Also, does anybody remember Goosebumps? I know as a kid we would always play that on TV during Halloween, and one of my favorite episodes was whenever there was this little girl, I think she was like 8 or 10 years old, and she really wanted to scare some bullies in her school, and she wanted to wear the most scariest mask possible. So she goes to this shop, and I think the shop was like haunted or something, and she ended up getting this creepy looking goblin mask, and it was attaching to her face and it wouldn't come off, and she was getting scared and she was getting paranoid. I remember that episode always freaked me out as a kid. Now I am using the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer in the color Endless Summer. We can't forget about the classic duck lips. Who doesn't want those sculpted cheekbones, you know? You want to sculpt your cheeks until it looks like you lost 10 pounds and you haven't ate anything for a little while. And whatever's left on the brush, I like to apply it on my nose. I have a pretty big nose with a little hump, so I don't try to really sculpt my nose because I know it's not going to look skinty. So I just try to use whatever's left. And now I'm using the Wet n Wild Chameleon Chrome Highlighter, and this one's one of my favorites because it does have a hint of like a yellowish, like green color, and it's so beautiful. As you can see, within the first swipe, the camera picks it up. It's so good. And I do like applying highlighters with my fingers because I feel like whenever I use a brush, sometimes that highlighter will just dust away. As opposed to using my finger, I feel like it gets more concentrated in that area. And I actually wanted to highlight my chin this time. And I did skip using blush in this look because I was trying to go for more of a pale look. But you're more than welcome to apply a blush. And now I'm adding the color Mutation with the brush. And I'm going to be focusing that on the lower lash line. And now I'm going to be following it with the color Infestation and just buffing out those colors together and making them look nice and blended. Next, I'm trying something a little bit different. I am using the Sketch Paint palette by Clara's Sidekick, and I've used it before in previous videos. And I'm getting a very thin brush, and I'm applying some of that lime green color to my waterline. And at first, I was like, okay, this is working, but I did notice that it would run a little bit or it would get in my eye. So I don't know if I really recommend that. Next, I'm using my Essence mascara and I'm applying that to the bottom lashes. And I'm going back again using that Supernova highlighter, and I'm going to be applying that to my eyebrow bone. Also, comment down below and let me know what your favorite thing about Halloween is. Is it the candy, trick-or-treating, dressing up, or is it just the fun colors that October has? Next, I'm using the NYX Liquid Suede lipstick in the color Black, and I do like the application. It's a very nice flat brush, and this product is very creamy. So I do like that a lot, but I will say that it does tend to come off very easily. So if you're ever eating something, drinking, or even kissing someone, it does come off very easily. I know that because I tried kissing my husband and his lips turned black. So we were twinsies. But anytime I do apply lipstick or any kind of lip product, I do like to take that in my purse so that way I can reapply it all day long. But I do know there are some lipsticks that are 24-hour that you don't even need to reapply them. The ring light that I'm using is very bright, so it does make it appear that my foundation is super lighter than my neck, but in person it did match very well. It looked beautiful. Well guys, that was all for today's look. Let me know what you guys think down below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you do try to recreate this look, I will be more than happy to see. So don't forget to tag me. Bye! I hope you guys have a spooky Halloween!